Hey guys, I hope you guys are having an awesome week. So far, it's been a crazy 2 days. Lots of gains everywhere. I'm just gonna start adding some background music to my videos because I've been told I sound a little monotone and I lack excitement. So enjoy if ever the beat goes off and they start playing some weird sounds. Uh, just because it's free music, so don't expect much. Let's get into the charts. I want to start with the MMTH, the percentage of stocks over the 200-day moving average. We are nearing the top here where we failed before. We have yet to break in to the zone, and we're waiting to see if we're gonna fail or make all-time highs. Looking at the oscillators on the weekly, currently we are oversold, and the MACD positive momentum is starting to wane. There's some ways to go, but negative momentum is coming, so we will have to see. Let's jump onto the daily time frame. We are butting up against this resistance line right here. We have yet to see if we will touch it and break down, or break right through and go for the next levels of resistance. On the RSI, we have came out of the oversold zone and in the process created both bearish and bullish divergence, which basically means indecision. But it looks like we're still creating uh, bearish divergence in the process. So it looks as if it's going to test this resistance and break down. But one thing to note is the MACD negative momentum is waning. So we have yet to see if the bulls will take the ball and push it to all-time highs, or they just could continue to dump and continue to make higher levels of negative momentum. Let's move on over to the XLB. This is the building materials ETF. Before I started my vlogs, I was tracking this thing. I didn't put in a trade, but I noticed this was in a ascending triangle, and sure enough, it broke out. And the measure move for this pattern is you start from one end to the other end of the opening, and you plot it to where you break out at, and it hit the targets, and now it's coming back down. I want to continue to keep an eye on this if to see if the top of this trend line will act as support, and if it does, it will be in the midst of creating hidden bullish divergence on the MACD. Well, it kind of already is. And potentially the RSI, but we have to see if we will continue to dump or not. Let's zoom into the 4-hour time frame. From the bottom of this impulse, there's an XABCD pattern right at the PCZ D area. It's right around this, could be support, and if it does bounce from there, be higher prices. So we'll keep an eye on it, and it's almost oversold. So we'll see. We'll see if this starts curling up and give the bulls the ball to take this to higher prices. One thing, one reason why I'm looking at this is because of our new president, Biden. He's super into renewable energy, solar, EV, and to do all the infrastructure, to do all these plans, you need materials. Um, you can look up what consists of this ETF, but this could be fundamentally very bullish. Let's switch over to the next ticker, XLC, the communications ETF. Let's take a look at the daily time frame. We have a harmonic pattern, a deep crab, bearish deep crab. We're right at the PCZ, showing possible bearish divergence on the MACD, and the RSI, which just hit the oversold line at 70. So let's see what happens tomorrow. This could be heading for lower prices, or it just could continue going up and invalidate this pattern completely. But we do have 3 variables, and let's see what happens. Switch over to the weekly. Same thing, showing divergence, seller buyer exhaustion, where the price keeps going up and the relative strength is weakening. Also, the MACD higher high on prices with lower levels of positive momentum means the bulls are running out of steam on this one. So the daily plus the weekly showing bearish divergence on both oscillators on both of those time frames are a pretty good argument for this to see lower prices sometime in the near future. Let's move over to the VIX, the volatility index. This is a metric to gauge when volatility could be coming for the stock market. Usually when this pumps, the market dumps. So this thing is coiling up really tight at this bottom support line and this top supply line. As you can see, it's getting really tight into here, and it's going to break soon, one way or the other. One thing to keep an eye on is the MACD. The negative momentum is waning, and soon the bulls will get the ball on this ticker, meaning market dumping. Let's go over to the weekly. Same thing, getting wound up pretty tight. Bearish divergence on the MACD, and a bullish. Sorry, this is bullish. If this is bullish, the market's bearish. So bullish divergence on the RSI. The bulls haven't really stepped in to play this one out completely yet. So let's see what happens. And bullish divergence on the MACD, which the negative momentum is about to be gone. So the bulls are getting the balls for this asset really, really soon. So but this is on the weekly. So yeah, it could happen sometime this week or next week. We'll see. 2 days and 18 hours left on the week, by the way. Let's switch over to the BKX, the bank index on the NASDAQ. If you haven't watched my last video, I did an analysis on the banking sector. This is a little bit of an update. Let's start with the BKX first. So here on the 4-hour, we are nearing this gap here. We have yet to see if it will fill or not. So So 22% of the time, gaps could act as support and resistance rather than filling. So right now we dipped into it, the zone, and we actually closed into it. So we will have to see if we will bounce out of this area and regard this as support tomorrow or these later coming days. The RSI is oversold, bounced off the oversold territory, came back down probably to test it again for a double bottom and go up. The MACD negative momentum is waning, so we could see some upside here, the short-term upside, but we'll see. I mean, we never know. This could just keep dumping. Let's jump over to the daily. We came up to test this area of resistance, which we were previously before in the past, which we have broken down from, and sure enough, we have broken down again, and today we closed below this support line, which isn't very good. Negative momentum is building. RSI neutral, probably heading down to the bearish zone. Last time we broke down here, we created a head and shoulders pattern, which we broke down majorly from. You could consider this as a double top, one big top and another top, lower low double top, which is very bearish. Switching over to the weekly time frame, I have found a harmonic Gartley pattern, a bearish harmonic Gartley pattern, XABCD. We overshot the PCZ by a little bit, but these patterns don't get stopped out until above X, or if it's a bullish case, below X. So we're coming down. Also, with bearish divergence on the MACD and the RSI showing buyer exhaustion. So this is one of the most reliable harmonic patterns there is, so I will not ignore this. Also, the RSI is coming out of oversold territory and coming down. Let's switch over to the XLF, the financial ETFs. On the 4-hour, we were oversold, showing bearish divergence, and we have sold off. But unlike BKX, we haven't really broken into this gap fill area, and we're potentially showing hidden bullish divergence in the process. So if we do regard this area as support, which happens 22% of the time, we could see a bounce here because we will regard this top line as support. About to be oversold too, so that's what's happening on the 4-hour. Switching over to the daily, zooming out, you can see we have failed at this resistance before, and basically we're making a double top and showing MACD bearish divergence with the negative momentum continuing to build. So we will have to see. Maybe we'll just get a small bounce on the 4-hour and come fill this gap and see what happens. We might come down and fill this bigger gap here. That's it for me for today. We'll check back in later on during the week for my for an update for the weekly stock picks that I have chosen before the weekend, which are doing pretty well right now. So yeah, check you next time.